And clerk for this morning's subcommittee meeting, and I am pleased to welcome you to this remote meeting of the subcommittee. The public proceedings of the meeting will be broadcast live and recorded for playback. Members are reminded that the instant messaging facility should only be used by members to indicate they wish to speak. So we now move to item 1, apologies. I can confirm that there are no apologies for this morning's meeting. And item 2, therefore there are no substitute members for this morning's meeting. Item 3, election of the chairman. Can I please have a nomination for the chairman for this morning's meeting?
I can nominate Councillor Nardi.
Can I have a seconder, please?
Where's she gone? I can't second myself, can I?
Sorry, I am here. Yes, seconded.
Thank you, Councillor Sams. In which case, as we have had a nomination and that has been seconded, Councillor Nagy, you have now been elected as chairman for the duration of this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. So I now take over, don't I? I'm on item 4. Yeah.
Yes, Chairman.
Can I just confirm that Councillor Brinder's going to stay and observe this meeting?
I am, yes. If
Yes,
that's all right with you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, that is no problem at all. I just thought I'd let everyone know that you're going to be observing.
Just observing, yeah. Thanks a lot.
That's no problem. As chairman, I will ask if there are any disclosures by members and officers. Councillor Brindle? Councillor Hinder, sorry.
No, I've had no disclosures.
Councillor Sams?
None from me, no.
And then the officers? Olivia, could you do the officers for me?
Chairman, I wonder if it may be better in that if anyone has a disclosure, then they would be expected to speak, but if not, then we will assume that there are no disclosures.
Okay. So silence is deemed as no disclosure. Thank you. Item 5, disclosures of lobbying.
None, Chairman.
Yes, here we go. The facilitator will ask members of the subcommittee in alphabetical order if you have any disclosures of lobbying. Then you must answer either none or yes and specify the agenda item.
Thank you, Chairman. Councillor Hinder?
None.
Councillor Nagy?
None.
And Councillor Sams?
None.
Thank you, Chairman.
Item 6, to consider whether items should be taken in private because of the possibility of disclosure of exempt information. I think there is none on that one. I intend to take item 7, street trading appeal in public. Following the hearings closure, the subcommittee will retire to a private session to consider the application. The decision will then be announced in public. And now on to item 7, street trading appeal. I will now ask that all persons participating in this morning's hearing identify themselves, starting with members of the subcommittee. Councillor Hinder.
Councillor Hinder, ward member for Boxley.
Councillor Sams.
Councillor Janetta Sams, ward member for Harrietsham and Lenham.
Thank you. And Councillor Nagy, Councillor ward member for East Ward. Thank you. Number 2, the legal advisor.
Thank you, Chairman. Sarah Beasley, Senior Lawyer, Legal Advisor to this subcommittee, supported today by Robin Harris, Contentious Team Leader. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 3, Committee Clerk and Facilitator.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, my name is Olivia Parfitt and I'll be the Committee Clerk and Facilitator. Thank you.
Thank you. The applicant and any representative.
Just myself, Maria Herriot, the applicant.
Thank you. And is there a Daunt?
Do we need him? I can get him.
Yeah, he's on as a representative. Is he here?
I'm ever so sorry. 1 second. Damien, you need to come and take part because you're one of the representatives.
There he is. Thank you very much. That's confirmed then. Number 5, other interested parties. Councillor Brown.
Yes, Chairman. I'm here, Chairman of Yalding Parish Council.
Thank you. And then Angela Gaunt. Gent.
Hello, Angela Gent, Clerk to Yalding Parish Council.
Thank you very much. So everyone's here then. Can I ask that all parties confirm that they have received a copy and are aware of the subcommittee hearing procedure? Is that a yes from everyone?
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you. I will now explain that the subcommittee will allow all parties to put their case fully and make submissions to the panel within a reasonable time frame. The procedure will take the form of a discussion led by the subcommittee, with cross-examination usually permitted within a reasonable time frame. Any persons in attendance behaving in a disruptive manner may be directed to leave the meeting, including temporarily, after which such person may submit to the subcommittee over the instant messaging facility any information which that person would have been entitled to give orally had the person not been required to leave the meeting. If this is not possible, they may be allowed to speak at the chairman's invitation. Here we go. I will now ask all subcommittee members to confirm that they have pre-read all the papers and other documentation regarding the hearing. Councillor Hinder?
I can confirm I have read all the papers.
Thank you. Councillor Sams?
Yes, I too can confirm I've read all the papers.
And I too, Councillor Nagy, can confirm that I've read all the papers too. Have any draft conditions been agreed between the applicant and other parties for the subcommittee to consider?
No.
Not at this moment in time. Right, thank you. Sarah Beasley, the legal representative, will now briefly outline the application and all representations regarding the application. Sarah, over to you.
Thank you, Chairman. Members are asked to consider and determine the appeal from Mrs Maria Herriot against the refusal of a street trading consent to trade in a private car park owned by and to the left of Orchard View Garage in Yalding. Members included in the papers are Appendices 1 and 3, which are the application and accompanying maps, Appendix 2, which is the landowner's consent, Appendix 4, which are the objections raised by Yalding Parish Council, relating in essence to parking, congestion, nuisance, ASB and staffing levels. Members' Appendices 5 to 7 are the communications with the applicant regarding the appeal, and Mrs Herriot sets out additional information at 2.7 of the report, which starts at page 3, and these are her responses to the objections raised. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. I will now ask if the applicant requests to have any witnesses giving evidence at the hearing. I've lost her off my screen. Is she still with us?
Chairman, yes, she is still with us.
Is she on mute, as they say?
Maria, just to make you aware that you're on mute.
Can you hear us now?
Yes.
Sorry, I do not have any witnesses.
Thank you very much. Then we go to the applicant witnesses. Is that you have got Damien down?
Oh, I've got Damien here. Yeah.
Yes. Do you still want him to be a witness?
Yes. Okay. Sorry, I don't understand this process very well.
That's no problem. That's why we're here.
Thank you.
The applicant and their representative will now be invited to provide their opening remarks, followed by any evidence and witnesses. Would you like to go? Go ahead.
Yeah. Is this just to have my say?
Yeah, this is where you provide opening remarks, basically what you've outlined,
Okay.
and any evidence and any witnesses you'd like to have speaking on your behalf.
Okay. So
Make a note of it. So you want to write that
note
down.
of it.
Yeah, you're going to do your remarks first, followed by your evidence, and then your witnesses.
Remarks and evidence. Okay.
Yeah.
So remarks being.
Why we're here today, basically?
Okay, so we're here today for, I put an application in for a street trader's licence to operate in a private car park in Yalding, Orchard View Garage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
to have a catering unit and to run a catering business from that car park.
Right. And have you got any evidence you'd like to produce, or have we got everything you think we need to make?
You have everything that you need. I just wanted to add that you've been submitted some pictures from Yalding Parish Council showing that the parking situation on Hampstead Lane. I lived on Hampstead Lane for 7 years on that particular stretch, and at one point we were the only residents on that stretch of Hampstead Lane. And there's quite a stretch of road that is unrestricted parking that you may not have seen. So although I know that road does get congested on one side, there's another whole stretch of that road that is completely unrestricted parking.
Right, thank you. Is that your evidence?
That's my evidence.
Okay. And have you got any witnesses, like you mentioned, to back that your?
Yeah,
I can confirm that is the case. That about 100 metres back from where the catering unit will be, on the same side of the road, on the Little Venice side, there are no double yellow lines, and the people can park on it. No double yellow lines, nothing. Which takes you right back to Little Venice, to where the old Yalding Cafe used to be. Which so there is sufficient parking there. And we would have parking within the car park on the where the
catering unit will
be sited anyway. So.
Okay. Thank you very much. So you've done your applicant's remarks and evidence. So thank you very much. Do any of the panel members wish to ask any questions at this stage? Councillor Hinder?
Not at this stage, thank you, but I may.
Sams?
No, I don't think so, because we've obviously got a lot of information here in front of us as well. Thank you.
I would like to ask one as panel member. Could you just explain why you think this is such a good site for this your catering trailer to be located?
Yeah, because it's a very highly visited area. It's quite a tourist spot. There's a very high canoeist community that use the river there and the canal. There are a lot of cyclists. There's a big walking community. So there's quite a lot of footfall that walks through that road. We've also got the users of the garage. There's the Environment Agency. I should note that I used to own the Yalding Cafe along the road, which has been shut for many years. So I'm very familiar with the area, and also and the people that surround Yalding, and that would frequent us, we hope.
Well, thank you very much for that answer. Now, do any of the other parties wish to ask the applicant representative any questions? Is anyone? So I go through them. Councillor Brown.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I would just like to refer you to the piece of road that you were referring to outside the old Yalding Cafe. Are you not aware that that is now equally as congested as the rest of it?
Well, I travel that road on a daily basis, and from the Yalding Cafe on, there's usually 2 or 3 cars parked outside there, and there's a little red car. I know the owner of that on Little Venice, and there's about 3 cars that are usually parked outside Hampstead Cottage and Hampstead, which used to be Hampstead Marina, which is now Little Venice Country Park.
Rarely do we see it congested.
Rarely do we see it, congested the whole length of the road. Only when the flood warnings are in issue and everybody on Little Venice parks their car along that road, that's when you see that road is pretty full with cars.
Thank you for that response. Any more questions at this stage from anyone want to ask the applicant or any more questions on that item?
Yeah, can I just ask about the Environmental Agency? obviously, in the paperwork, it says that the additional double yellow lines were installed to achieve unobscured access to their depot. So, can anyone tell me, one, how long ago that was, and what the issue around the cars parking in front of their access that perhaps does or doesn't happen now?
Mr. Chairman, I could answer that if I may.
Carry on, Councillor.
The double yellow lines, it's opposite. The yellow lines outside the site have always been there. Opposite is what we know as the Environment Agency building, and there were some yellow lines outside there. But right next door to the garage, on the opposite side to the application site, is the Environment Agency depot. And that is where the machinery is kept for the maintenance of the rivers and the river banks. And with the parking on that piece of road, the large vehicles cannot get the swing to be able to get into the gate of the depot. So the Environment Agency put in an application to extend the double yellow lines to meet the others. And that was approved, I think, my clerk will probably be able to tell me better, I think about a year to 18 months ago.
Councillor Sams, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions for the, where do we go? I just turned it over. Yeah, any more questions for the applicant?
Yes, please, Chair.
Councillor Hinder?
I'm curious as to how you will police or monitor the parking, because you state that you will request from customers where have they parked, and then possibly request that they go and move because they parked in an inappropriate place. But how will you actually monitor this if there's only one of you working in your retail unit?
Okay, so on the application, we could only supply one member of staff on that application because I haven't employed anybody, because there isn't a business to employ anybody for. So there will be more than one member of staff at any one time. I'm thinking there'll be at least two of us. The view from the catering unit looking onto the road is clear that we should be able to see if there are any obstructions. That road also has a weight limit. The bridge also has a weight limit, so you don't often see the very large vehicles. Is that not the case, Geraldine? Has that been removed? I apologise then if that's been changed. Yeah. So we have a clear view of any obstructions, but like I say, to the right of the catering unit, there is a very long length of road that has unrestricted parking, and if anybody was to park up near the Environment Agency, they would be blocking the traffic lights. And in all the years, 22 years, I've never seen anybody blocking the traffic lights there with large vehicles. I know there was a what was the company? T-Bodies that used to occupy right next door with their large lorries, but they're no longer there, are they, in Yalding? So yeah, as best as we can, we would try and make sure that our customers know. We'd have a sign up saying, you know, no illegal parking, courtesy to our neighbours at all time is expected, and hopefully we could police it that way.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hinder. Any more questions at this stage?
Mr. Chairman, could I just make a point of fact? Bodies have moved. They were, oh God, what do you call them? They bring hardcore into site, building sites, but the site has been taken over by our doula, who are in the same business, and they have similar problems to the Environment Agency in pulling into their site.
Right. Thank you, Councillor, for that information. Any more questions before we move on?
Mr. Chairman, if I may ask, it's Sarah Beasley of Mrs. Herriot. I just wanted to ask if you had any further observations in respect of Councillor Brown's observations about the double yellow lines. Obviously, that was a question that she answered, but it's in respect of your application. So I just wondered if you had any further observations.
The double
100 metres away from where the catering.
No, I think the double yellow lines are outside the old Environment Agency. Is that right, Geraldine?
Yeah.
But the building opposite where we would have the catering unit.
Both sides.
Just to clarify, there are two Environment Agency premises opposite each other on Hampstead Lane. One is virtually opposite the site, the other is next to the garage. It is the site that is next to the garage that has problems turning in if people are parked on the double yellow lines on the opposite side of the road outside the other Environment Agency building. Does that make
It does.
These terms are as likely to do as our customers would be. So
I mean, we don't anticipate having halls of cars coming there for the catering unit. We're hoping to get the walkers, the canoeists, and people that generally use the garage next door, and people that are already there. So we don't anticipate being like a drive-through big McDonald's type thing, and so yeah, I'm hoping it's going to be a grab and go or a delivery service.
Yes, is everyone happy?
Well,
I would just like to ask one question. I see when I've been out there and on the drawings, on the pictures, there is a gap of yellow lines. You've seen both sides seem to be yellow lined, and then there's a gap on the riverside. Is that gap left for people to park normally or on the pavement? Has someone thought about that's why they don't go right along, or is that specifically for the Environment Agency? Councillor Brown, would you better do it?
Are we talking towards the traffic lights or towards Little Venice? If you've got if you're standing in the middle of the road and you've got the application site on your right, are you looking straight ahead?
Yeah, I'm looking on the left-hand side there, because the pictures we should actually showing. I don't know if everyone else can see the pictures. There is a gap where cars can park. Is that right?
If you look at photograph, I think it's the second photograph, our photograph number 2, which looks along Hampstead Lane from the entrance to the application site. If I can explain, there are 2 sets of double yellow lines on each side of the road. From the application site, it's opposite, going down towards Little Venice. The double yellow lines then stop on that side of the road and start on the other side of the road, which is the application site. So you've got parking opposite the application site at one point, and then it swaps over to the other side of the road. But in essence, there are double yellow lines all the way along Hampstead Lane, albeit they're split into 2.
So looking at that, it's very surprising to see so many double yellow lines in what I would call a country lane road. So are you saying there's a historic problem around here if in normal times, or is that why they've been put in, or are they purely for the Environment Agency?
No, the double yellow lines for the Environment Agency are just the ones at the end. The other yellow lines are there because you have to restrict the parking. There are a lot of HGVs come along this road, and in the olden days when ICI was there, they were allowed to take this route. And if you have cars parked on both sides of the road, you can't get an HGV through. So they've restricted parking to one side of the road, but it's half and half. So it's one side on one part and the other side on the other. And it is even with a normal car, if you've got a van and a car, you can't easily pass when you've got vehicles parked there anyway. So what they've done is they've tried to restrict the parking all the way along, but just made it on 2 sides of the road and split it. And of course, when you get to the summer, it is absolutely heaving.
Thank you for that. I just wanted to get an idea of why the lines were put like they were and when. Thank you very much. Any more questions for the applicant? Thank you then. Now this is I will now invite the applicant's witness who can speak up. That's your applicant, your witness behind you. If you'd like to add anything at this stage.
Yeah, we've got the car park in Orchard View's car park themselves, which will be directly next to the catering unit. That will hold around 12 to 20 cars. I haven't paced it out, but I've seen up to that many there. At the moment, he's got people paying to park in that car park, and what he said is that once they have moved, once we've moved in there, they will obviously have to then move on, and then he will only have a few cars needed for a few customers to go in there between picking up and dropping off cars. So we would have access to around half a dozen to 10 parking spaces, and he has the intention of opening up and making more accessible right directly in front of the catering unit beside the path. So he's going to take out one of the trees and put a gateway in there and make it more accessible.
Any questions from the panel or any councillors?
Yeah, can I just ask a question just on that? So do you would it be your assumption that those parking spaces would be the ones that people would use, and that you wouldn't expect to have more than that amount at one time?
That would be the hope, yeah. That people, obviously, we can't guarantee until business starts rolling along exactly how many cars and traffic this is going to create. But at the end of the day, there are so many tourists in there. I mean, in peak season, we're going to be picking up on people that are already there. We're not going to be attracting additional customers, especially if we're doing a delivery service. We intend going out and even right down to Little Venice, which is right on the doorstep. There's a lot of elderly people there, a lot of people we know that are quite up for this. And I've said that we'll be ordering meals on a regular basis, because we will be as cheap, if not cheaper, as Meals on Wheels. And it'll be freshly cooked food, hot food that can be delivered straight to them within a matter of minutes. So it'll still be steaming hot, etc. They haven't got to travel 3 or 4 miles to get to them. So, Little Venice will be quite, that wouldn't be causing any traffic, obviously.
Councillor Sams?
Yep, that answers my question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Hinder?
No, that's answered a lot of query that I had also.
Could I just ask one then? If things were to go well, how quick would you think this car park that you're talking about could be in operation for your business?
It's already a car park, isn't it?
It's already currently a car park at the moment, so it would be a matter of a few weeks. We're still getting the catering unit into position at the moment. There's still a few finishing touches to be done to it, so we're not looking to have it sited there immediately. We're hoping over the next month or so we will hopefully have it sited there. Maybe in 2 to 4 weeks, just depending on how much work we've got left to do and how quickly we can get that done. But we needed to finalise this meeting and get the okay before we push forward and spend any more money.
Okay, thank you very much. Anything else you'd like to add before we move on?
Only that during the summer months. Oh, you're speaking. It's not me.
Yeah.
The Leeds car park.
Your witness.
Sorry.
Yeah, well, like Maria was going to say, the Leeds car park, that's often, obviously, that's open during the peak season, and there's a lot of people use that to park, and then it's a nice meander to walk, a few hundred metres up the road to our catering. It would just be an addition to what was already there. We'd be filling a niche that isn't in the area of your decent home-cooked food.
Well, very.
Okay, thank you very much. Any more questions from Councillor Hinder or Sams before we move on?
No, thank you, Chairman.
Councillor Sams?
Yeah, just one question. When on the Yalding Parish Council objections, one of the questions says existing businesses. It will reduce the overflow parking to existing businesses. Are there any other businesses apart from the Environmental Agency depot and the Environmental Agency office?
Can I answer that?
I think the witness is going to answer that one.
Well, on the same side as the unit, there's what was Boddy's yard is now Argula now, but I don't see a lot of coming and going from them. So they must only use it sporadically. I don't know how. It's just there don't seem to be an awful lot on there. On the opposite side of the road, on the quays themselves, there's the boathouse, and then across from the other side of the river, there's the Teapot Island. And other than that, there are no other businesses.
Councillor Sams?
Thank you. That's fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you like to say anything else before we move on?
No, I think we've covered all the bases. Hopefully,
we don't want to be a nuisance.
We don't want, we don't want to be a nuisance. Just want to move forward and hope to get to the end of it.
Well, positive outlook. That was very informative. Now, do any of the other parties wish to ask the applicant representative any questions? Councillor Brown, this is your chance. You indicated earlier.
You mentioned that the garage owner is looking to take out a tree and put in another entrance. Are you aware that that is a classified road and so therefore would probably need planning permission for another entrance?
Yeah, I think he's been made aware of that. It's only for footfall. I mean, we're not talking about car entrance. I mean, there's already a vehicle entrance at the other end, which is plenty wide enough to get a car in and out of, even a larger van in and out of. So that would literally just be to stop people having to walk through the car park to get to the catering unit. They'd be able to just cut through between the trees, so to speak. So there wouldn't really be anything at the very most. There'd be a couple of planks put across the slight ditch that's there just to create some stability.
Councillor Brown?
No, fine, thank you.
Right. Any more questions to the applicant or her representative at this stage? And would Sarah Beasley want to come in and speak on anything at the moment?
Thank you, Chair. No comments from me.
Thank you very much. I will now invite the other parties to speak in the following order. Councillor Geraldine Brown, if you'd like to go first.
Thank you. Thank you, members and chairman, for allowing us to attend the hearing this morning. I believe you have access to the 4 photographs that I sent through yesterday, and they should be numbered 1 to 4. Photograph number 1 shows the extent of the double yellow lines immediately outside and opposite the site. Photograph number 2 is taken from the entrance at the road, showing the extent of the parking, not only on the opposite side to the site, but if you look up the picture, you can see where the parking is starting on the other side of the road, going up past Little Venice. Number 3 shows the vehicular access into the site itself, which is quite narrow, and the number of cars parked even when the garage is closed. Yesterday, there were 14 cars parked in that car park when the garage was open. The concern there is, as you can see, 2 cars can't pass each other. And number 4 is taken from directly the opposite the site, showing the close proximity of the traffic lights. I think the applicant has now accepted that HGVs do use Hampstead Lane on a regular basis. Some of them are illegal, going through the 7.5 tonne weight restriction, but there are many businesses in the area that need HGV deliveries and collections. If just one of these was to stop, it would cause chaos. What evidence is there that the majority of the customers would use the delivery service? It is not something that we are aware of there is a demand for. I cannot think of a location nearby which would allow safe parking for a lorry, yet be an easy reach for a delivery. Any safe locations are already served by other food outlets, and we do not wish to encourage such parking at Yalding Station. From the position of the food van, it would be very difficult to see if the customer was parked legally, without leaving the van and walking to the road. It will be impractical for the vendor to police parking. There is very little available legal parking much of the time along Hampstead Lane. As the photo shows, at all times it is busy with parking from the residents of the new mobile homes that have been given planning permission along the towpath. There is permission for 20 homes, possibly 40 cars. There were no canoeists or fishermen at the time the photo was taken, as the canal has been drained for maintenance. In the summer months, it is packed with tourists, customers of the Boathouse pub that has limited off-road parking, and people enjoying the open space of the Leas, plus the canoeists and fishermen. We already have issues with illegal parking on the double yellow lines, which causes congestion. And last spring and summer, we had daily visits by parking enforcement officers and twice Saturdays, Sundays and bank holidays. People are more likely to stop on a double yellow line if they think they're only going to be 5 minutes. It's not practical for the vendor to refuse to serve customers if they are legally parked. The problems that already have been caused before the vendor is aware of them. Also, it would not make for good customer relationships. The use of this site will greatly reduce the overflow parking to the existing businesses and push existing vehicles into the very over-congested highway. There is no guarantee that these vehicles will not just move onto the highway from the car park that is used by the garage at the moment. There is a shortage of parking areas in the vicinity, and the parish council owned car park is seasonal and is not 24-hour. As you will see from the photos, the entrance into the site is single track. We already have a problem with gangs of youth visiting Yalding by train in the summer, congregating in Hampstead Lane. Indeed, your community safety unit spent many days last summer trying to move these teenagers away without too much success. They bring their own alcohol and music, but with this outlet open until 9 or 10, would move the focal point from Hampstead Lock to the Leas picnic area after it's closed. It is not practical or safe for the vendor to try to police this.
Oh, hang on a minute. You can't interrupt at the moment. Okay. Unless you've got your speaker on. Yeah. Everyone got their speakers off? Thank you. Carry on, Councillor Brown.
Thank you. Where is the evidence to support the statement that the vendor has the support of the local community? She mentions Little Venice Country Park, but that is just a holiday park. We have no information to believe that there is extra demand locally when there are 6 other businesses offering takeaway service in the parish, together with owners at East Peckham and Paddock Wood. There is also Teapot Island, which is virtually opposite this site, that serves the same type of food that they're suggesting they will be selling. It's fast food, takeaway, and they do Sunday lunches, and they also serve alcohol. Yalding Enterprise Park, you may not be aware, also has permission for a cafeteria. We have no details of what facilities will be available for the staff. The public toilets are closed at 8 p.m. and are seasonal. As the applicant knows, the site is in a flood zone 3 area and is susceptible to severe flooding. What arrangements has the vendor made to become aware of any potential flood? Yalding Parish Council does not consider this a suitable site for this type of business, most particularly in view of the amount of traffic there is during the summer months. And we would respectfully urge members to dismiss this appeal. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brown. I was just saying to our applicant, it's Mrs. Harriet, is it?
Sorry, yeah, the speaker was on. I struggled to turn it off.
I just say you will have a chance to come back, so I would suggest you make notes now because of anything that gets said now, because you'll have your chance to come back later. Okay.
Thank you very much.
I don't want you thinking you're missing out and can't say something.
No, and I don't want you to think that I tried to interrupt. I was trying to turn the speaker off because somebody walked in behind me. So I apologise about that.
That's no problem, but I would suggest you make notes now so you can have your final say later, okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I now call on Miss Angela Gent. Did I say that right?
Mm-hmm.
Is she there?
I'm here. Yeah, it's James, but that's fine. Yeah, I haven't, as clerk to the parish council, I haven't really got anything to add, because my job's to advise the parish council. The only thing that I think Geraldine didn't mention was that Little Venice currently have approval to install a gate along Hampstead Road, which would take away some parking on the part where parking is currently allowed, because obviously the width of the gate and the sight lines, I think, would take away approximately 5 to 6 parking spaces that are there. They haven't implemented that planning application yet, but they still have plenty of time to do so. That was granted last year, I believe.
Thank you for that. Now we move on. Do any of the panel members, any council, I'll go to Councillor Hinder first. Would you like to say anything at this stage, Councillor?
No, thank you. I believe I've heard everything that I wish to hear.
Thank you. Councillor Sams?
Could I just ask Geraldine Brown about the other takeaway? You said there are 6 other takeaways in the area. Can you tell me sort of roughly how far away they are?
As I say, Teapot Island is virtually opposite. You cross the weir and there's Teapot Island, which they do eat in or take away, and they have children's playground and open spaces. In Yalding Village, there's one, sorry, in Yalding there's 4, and then at East Peckham there are 2 that do deliveries, and there are another 2 or 3 in Paddock Wood that will deliver to Yalding as well. We have found all these during the pandemic, obviously, but they are carrying on. Those that started newly will be carrying on with their takeaway services.
Councillor Sams?
Thank you. So it's I suppose it's, if we're just looking at Yalding, it's 4 in the village and plus Teapot Island.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we go to, do any of the parties wish to ask any questions? And I would start with the applicant first. So, Miss Harriet, this is your chance to come back.
Yeah. Geraldine, does Teapot Island do a delivery service and from there?
No, Teapot Island do not do a delivery service. They just do takeaway or sit in.
And the boathouse, that didn't remain open during the pandemic for takeaway or delivery, did it?
No.
The other takeaway services, the Walnut Tree, they're fairly new. I'm not sure exactly what they do as far as delivery, but I know the George do pizzas and foods like that for takeaway, whereas we would be offering home cooked, locally sourced food.
The George do home cooked food, and as does the Checkers. The Checkers do full Sunday lunches to take away, and
delivered,
and the Walnut Tree as well.
Delivered or takeaway only?
They will do deliveries.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, it's worth to say that Yalding Club have also just started during the pandemic to do deliveries and takeaways as well.
Is Yalding Club, what's that? A club for what?
And Working Men's Club, traditional Working Men's Club.
Right, thank you. Working Men's Club, thank you.
It's just called Social Club now. It's not in the tradition of the Working Men's Club.
Social Club. Thank you very much. Just a bit of clarification there. Is there any other questions that anyone would like clarification on, or anything that's been said so far? Everyone's happy?
Just one last one. Sorry to keep asking questions. obviously we've got the 4 photographs, and you said photograph 3 was taken yesterday. When was photograph 2 taken with all the traffic, with all the cars parked?
On Saturday.
Thank you.
I just decided to have a second go yesterday when the sun was shining.
Well, if everyone's happy with the questions and answers, this is the last chance to say anything. We're going to go to closing speeches now, if everyone's happy with what's been said and gone on. So I now go on to say, before this hearing's closure, I will invite each of the objectors to make their closing speech in the following order. Councillor Geraldine Brown. First.
Thank you, Chairman. We have no qualms with the business that Mrs. Harriott wants to set up. We just feel that this is the wrong place. It is such a busy place in the summer months. It is impossible to park sometimes. People come and they can't park on Hampstead Lane and they go away. This year we will have the car park open earlier than we did last year, but people would rather park on a double yellow line than pay £3.50 to go into the car park. And that is our concern, that this business will attract people parking on the double yellow lines and causing congestion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brown. Miss Gwent, did I say that right then?
Almost. Gent.
Gent, there you go. Thank you very much. Sorry. Anything you'd like to furnish with?
No, I've got nothing to add.
Thank you very much. I now call upon the applicant to make their closing speech and remarks. So this is the last final say down to the applicant. Are you there? Have I lost her? Mrs. Harriott?
Chairman, I believe the applicant has actually dropped out of the call. It might be worth just giving them a minute, just in case they can rejoin.
Yes. Well, no, because their box will come straight back up. Is that the case? I can't even play any music or anything.
I could sing for you. That will make everybody go away.
Well, we'll give her a bit of time because this is that she's the last person to say something. So, and then we go to the councillors after that. Shall I ask them what should we do if she doesn't return? What can we? Is there anything? Where's the legal team on this one? If this is a last chance and a closing speech, has this happened before?
Thank you, Chairman. I noticed that Mrs. Harriott's box is open actually on my screen. I wondered if she has been able to reconnect, but she's currently on mute.
Oh. Do you think she's seen me waving? Mute, mute. Unmute.
The applicant's not actually connected to the call, even though the box is showing.
Ah.
I think it is important. Is it possible that we perhaps could try and contact her and reconnect her? I think her closing speech is important in terms of the application.
I think we've got to give her every opportunity to have her last say, and I think everyone would agree with that. It's just a case of, can we do that in the technical people chase her or ring her? Have we got her phone number?
Olivia, I wonder if we take a few moments to try and contact Lorraine Neal to see if she might be able to assist us.
Yes, definitely. Hang on a moment.
Oh, there is somebody in the lobby.
Yeah, the applicant should have reconnected at this point. Maria, are you able to just confirm that you're fully connected? Because you are currently on mute.
Hello.
I think I can hear her.
It's me. Oh, sorry, we lost you. We've just come back.
Yes. Are you viewing us, or are you going to stay on the black box? Can you still hear us?
But hear you now.
So close then. Right, I think we'll carry on then because you can hear what we're
Sorry,
saying.
I'm back now. Sorry.
Okay, well, it's now your chance to make your closing speech and state your case.
Okay, so let me just say thank you all very much for your time, and I know that this is obviously causing some concern, and that's never been my intention. My intention is to provide a really good service and keep everybody happy. So, and all the concerns that are raised are obviously important issues. I understand that. The mentioning of flooding. Now, Mark has assured us the part of the car park that we intend to set up in is slightly raised and has been for many years. And he's assured us that when the flooding was at its at its peak, the flooding didn't get to that part. The catering unit is slightly off the ground anyway once it's hitched up and in its position. So that's the flooding. Children congregating. Unfortunately, children congregate to tourist locations. We know that, and there's always been groups of children that are attracted to the river and the canal in the summer months. And like Geraldine said, you've had an officer there dispersing groups, and hopefully that will continue to be policed in the correct way. And that's not something that we would want to get involved with, breaking up gangs of children. That would never be the intention of us saying that we're policing the area as far as parking and antisocial behaviour. The subject of noise, it's not a highly populated section of Yalding. There's not many residents there. We don't intend to play any loud music. We don't intend to create any extra noise or nuisance. I know the majority of the residents of Yalding, so me of all people wouldn't want to upset the local people in that way. I just want to enhance the area, not to cause any nuisance. When the pandemic hit, I know a lot of businesses shut, and that's what gives me the idea about opening somewhere that could deliver and you could get a takeaway from. So that's another reason why we looked at that area. Yeah, nobody delivers. Well, I didn't think that anybody delivers the kind of food that we want to deliver, which is home cooked to your door in the evening, during the day. There are a lot of elderly residents in Yalding that we would like to provide a really good service for. And yeah, thank you for your time. That's about it.
Thank you very much, and I'm glad you made it back as you had the closing speech. Right, after this then, may I ask the subcommittee members, Councillor Sams and Hinder, if they have any final questions for any party present? Councillor Sams?
Not from me, thank you very much.
Councillor Hinder? Councillor Hinder still with us? I can't see him.
No, I am back now. I just dropped out very briefly, so I didn't hear what you just said, Councillor.
Have you any final questions, Councillor Hinder?
No.
To any party present?
No, I think every query that I've got has been answered in one way or another. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think on the Sarah Beasley, if she can confirm whether there are any further matters to be raised or resolved before this hearing is closed.
No further matters, Chairman, but perhaps in terms of an indication of when you will return, setting a time. I noticed that Mrs. Harriet has dropped out again. I believe she may be back in the lobby.
Right. We can now close the meeting because she said her final piece, hasn't she?
She has. I believe she's back. It's probably just so she's aware when the meeting will be returning.
Okay. Well, how long would you suggest we do? Half an hour? An hour? Councillors?
I think half an hour would be okay.
I agree. I think half an hour would be appropriate.
What's the time now? So I got 54. So if we said 11:30, we'd be back.
Yeah,
I think that'd be fine. But can we make sure that the applicant knows to that she can come back and hear the answer?
Yeah.
She doesn't know.
Could someone give us a call in the meantime, or just to make sure in case she's not on the internet?
Chairman, the applicant is actually connected to the call at the moment.
Right. Okay. Well, that's the main thing, as long as she's part of the meeting. So I now declare this hearing closed. The subcommittee members, accompanied by the legal advisor only, will now enter into closed session to deliberate. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
A query, Olivia. Do I now log out and then log into the private?
Thank you very much. For the benefit of anyone watching the subcommittee proceedings this morning, the subcommittee had intended to return at 11:30. However, they do need some extra time to carry out their deliberations, so at which point they will now return to the court at 11:40. Thank you. Just confirm whether or not we're ready to start the broadcast.
Is it up to me then, Olivia?
It is, Chairman.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to welcome everyone back. Thank you for waiting whilst the subcommittee deliberated. As chairman, I'd like to announce that the subcommittee has approved the application. And I would like now ask Sarah Bleasley to read out our decision, if she could please.
Thank you, Chairman. The subcommittee grants the consent as applied for, subject to the standard conditions at page 13 of the policy. The subcommittee recommends that the private car park is made available at the same time as the opening of the business unit, along with appropriate signage. By way of advisory, it should be noted that reviews, including any decision for revocation, can come before a future subcommittee. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Sarah. All parties to the hearing will receive a copy of the written determination notice regarding the subcommittee's determination. All parties may appeal against the subcommittee's decision within 21 days, beginning with the day on which the applicant or the appellant is notified of the licensing authority's written determination. Appeals must be lodged with the Magistrates' Court. Parties should be aware that the Magistrates' Court may make an order with respect to the costs of any appeal. That means the hearing is now formally closed. I'd like to thank everyone for attending today and for a very positive meeting. Thank you very much, everyone.
Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, apologies. There is a point. Is that the standard wording you've read out is the standard wording which is appropriate to a premises licence application. And obviously, this isn't a premises licence application; it's a street trading consent.
Okay.
So the correct
the last bit on my agenda, though.
Apologies. The correct position in relation to a street trading consent is as per described by my colleague Mrs. Beasley just a moment ago. There is no right of appeal to the Magistrates' Court in relation to a decision around a street trading consent. However, there is the possibility of a review of that consent in the event of problems with the consent in the future.
Now, do all parties understand that before we end the meeting?
Yes,
We do.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, thank you very much. Sorry, I missed that.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, there's one further point. There is, of course, as there is in relation to most public decisions, the possibility of a judicial review against a decision to do that. So it's not that there is no right of appeal whatsoever, but the right of appeal would be by way of a judicial review to the High Court.
Okay, thank you very much for confirming that, Robin. So I've now bring the meeting to a close, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.